On today's episode, we rank our top 12 quarterbacks, and you'll really want to hear us debate our love and hate for Jalen Hurts and Justin Herbert.
Welcome to the Coach and Commish podcast. No, not John Gruden, and definitely not Roger Goodell. It's Chris and Sean breaking down fantasy football for the everyday man.
Welcome back to episode 106. I'm the coach. That's the commish. I'm Chris. Sean to my right. Let's jump right into it. Today we are launching our positional rankings to get you guys the edge in your drafts coming up later this month. Hopefully not earlier right now. I mean, if it is, okay, here we are to the rescue.
Say, pro tip, do your drafts as late as you can.
Yeah, but we're going to start off with the QBs. We're only going to list 12 of them. If you're in a 2 QB league, I'm sorry, do your research from 13 to 24. But we're going 1 through 12 here, and we slaved over these rankings. First off, kudos to guys who do this for a living.
I know.
This took me so long to do.
I know. And just a quick side note, I wanted to mention, in case you missed our last episode where we talked our league's rules meeting, we mentioned there we're doing a rebranding. We're now the coach and the commish, no longer the frenemies. Still the same type of show going on here. But that's what you're hearing. And you hear that cool intro guy where it's just a little bit of our rebranding. So just, drop in the comments. Let us know what you think. Criticisms are always welcome and encouragement, so we feel good.
Yes, please tell us when we do something right. And talking about trying to puff up my big head, let's go to the biggest head position in football, quarterbacks.
Yeah.
The main man that gets all the glory and all the blame. And so we're going to go... We came up with our consensus ranking, so that's where you're going to hear us 1 through 12. It's just not my ranking or Sean's ranking here. We might say where we might be favorite on one guy or a little lower on the other. But for you, the listeners, we've combined our rankings, and we're starting at number 1, my boy, Patty Mahomes. There's no argument here.
You say your boy, but I got to call you out at the beginning here. When we did our rankings, number 1 on your list was not your boy.
We going at a 4-point touchdown pass, kind of like normal setting.
Okay. Is that how you did your rankings?
That's how I did mine.
You're doing it off a 4-point. Okay.
The 6 and 6, a 6-point touchdown, 6 for running leagues. It's trending, but I don't think it's
still not the norm.
Say the consensus for all leagues.
Yeah.
So I had to put them down at 1 below the Kyler Murray, but Mahomes with our consensus. There's no argument here with all the weapons that he gets thrown to.
Yeah, and it's the easy, stock pick just to put it right there, and I'm not going to argue with it. It's just Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL, and I believe in fantasy. As long as he doesn't get hurt, he's going to throw over 40 touchdowns, and yeah, you can draft him. We will mention this in these. What we like to do is a late quarterback drafting strategy. So you're going to hear all of these guys that we're going to talk about. And at the top, a lot of them won't be on our teams because we're not going to spend up. There'll be people in your drafts that want to draft them in the first, second, and third round. I'm waiting because there's value there. But yeah, Patrick Mahomes, he's the best.
You mock drafter, stop picking him so early. His ADP's 3rd round. That's ridiculous.
Yep.
And that's why he's not my keeper anymore. That's too high. Number 2 in our consensus ranking, Kyler Murray.
Chris is number 1.
Yes. He had a hot start to last season. Even on the latter weeks where the offense started sputtering, he was still giving you great stats. Friend of the podcast, guest quite a few times through the season, David Kalana, had him at his quarterback position.
Fantasy extraordinaire.
Gave him a title, all right, because of what he can do with his legs and that high volume passing offense.
Yeah.
It's a rare combination, and you can argue Kyler Murray at 1, but he's not too far behind Mahomes.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue with you too much if he was to be your 1. I see the path. I'm going to take the experience of Patrick Mahomes. I know what I have in him. Kyler Murray is still a little bit of a wild card. He hasn't fully ascended to that elite category, in my opinion.
Right. At number 3, we have Josh Allen. I'm higher on him than you are. And there's 2 things that I love about Josh Allen, or just his surroundings, his offense. His pedigree with Stephon Diggs, and they did not draft a new running back.
So he will be running.
He will be running. Or more passing attempts because they don't trust Singletary and Moss running the ball.
Yep.
So that's why I'm a little higher on him in there.
Yeah, not much of an argument here. I have another guy a spot ahead of him, but he was fantastic last year for you. He made that jump. And I can't argue with the fact that he's going to be a top 5 quarterback again.
Right. And then here we got a little debate going, but coming off the injury list, Dak Prescott. Remember that first couple of games? He was going nuts.
That's what I remember. That's why he's my number 3.
I had him at my number 5. So
This is probably our biggest disparity, I think, right here is Dak Prescott. So I want to throw it to you, Chris, and what is your hesitation? Is it the injury? Like you said, at the beginning of the season, he was trending as QB1. Like he was just on fire. Well, him and Kyler Murray were going at it.
Throwing on my coach hat, which is I'm wearing a Minnesota Twins hat. Doesn't even make sense, but
every defense, hat you put on is a coach hat.
You can't sustain trying to outscore everyone. I mean, the Chiefs kind of do it, but they can't.
Yeah.
What they can try to emulate it. But if their defense is as poor as it is, it's much worse than Kansas City's defense.
Yep.
Right? Then you need to control the clock, and you have an all-pro running back in Ezekiel Elliott. Offensive line's returning, which helps protection. Returning some of those injured guys coming back should be, if they got a healthy line, yes, that means more protection for Dak, but I think that means more first, second down run plays.
Okay.
That takes a little more of the attempts off. And if I'm the Dallas coaching staff, look at riding Elliott more to make Dak more efficient, but probably less yards.
Yeah.
And no more 4 or 5 touchdown games.
And I'm not projecting that. I have him at 3. I don't expect him to, make this crazy leap. But I do think we saw something that he was taking that next step forward to be an elite quarterback, not just running, but throwing the ball. I believe it was a dislocation of a broken ankle, basically.
Oh, it was like it was a fracture and a dislocation. It was just ugly.
But it's not one of those. It's like the ACL that can nag at you. I believe once you're fully healed from it, I need the doctor, Tim James, to back me up on this. But I believe it's more of a once you've healed up, you're kind of good thing. So I'm not as concerned about the injury being an issue. Sounds like that wasn't really a big factor as to why you ranked him at 5.
No.
I just love the weapons he's got there. CeeDee Lamb coming into his second year. I think he's one of the best young wide receivers in the league. Amari Cooper, people like to dump on him, but he's just been fantastic, whether it's for fantasy or for real football. And I don't know. I think that's not going to sustain the way they started the season, but it doesn't have to for him to be QB3. Like, Let's say it's 75% to 80 of that. Like, he'll be a fantastic QB for fantasy if that's the case. So he's kind of my staple. I'm putting my chips in on him to where I think Dak can be that top 3 quarterback this year.
And it's a good value pick, and we'll talk about that stuff later. But where he's going, I think, is a great grab. Where I had number 4, he had 5. So really, our 5th ranked quarterback in our consensus ranking, Lamar Jackson, and he is here because of his rushing ability. And there's nowhere but up in that passing game. For them to go, they must improve. I can't see them getting any worse than last year's passing offense.
And that's why he's at 5 here, because this may be something a lot of people will get down on us. I feel like at 5 we are pretty low compared to what a consensus would be with Lamar Jackson. You just think back a year ago, he set the league on fire and was easily QB1 in fantasy football 2 years ago, not last season. But the reason for me is that passing game. I think, like you said, it can go up, but I just don't see it being significant to where I think you're going to get a lot of what you got last year. I think it will sway a little more towards the end of the year. He did pick things up, and it'll be more like that. I don't think it's going to be as doom and gloom as it was at the beginning where people were considering dropping Lamar Jackson. But I just think that we know what he is. He's a fantastic rushing quarterback, and he should use that. That's how they win games. And I just don't think he's ever going to be a prolific passer. He's never going to take that jump to where he's going to be, a 350 to 450 yards a game passer. He's just not going to be that.
No, I got you on that. Let's go to the GOAT, the greatest of all time, 7-time Super Bowl winner. Right at number 6 is Tom Brady. We both agreed at this position. He could, if you could run the ball, he might have been way higher, but he does not run it. This is strictly air game.
Yeah,
has him here.
He's probably the first one we come to that if we were ranking with 6 point, that would be probably a significant change. I probably would put him ahead of a Lamar Jackson in that case. Yeah, Tom Brady's one that could make us look bad, though. I feel like this could be a year that he, at age, 42 now?
Right.
It just could set the league on fire with, now he's in Bruce Arians for the second year. His weapons are just, unbelievable.
And he played last year on a completely torn
I know.
MCL.
He throws that in there. Like,
oh, my goodness, just throwing shade on the rest of the league. He went to a new offense and did everything to get him a Super Bowl, and he wasn't even 100% healthy. Now, the next man at number 7 has a giant asterisk mark, but we're going to think he's returning. Yes, we're talking about Aaron freaking Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers, playing with all our hearts.
And a little bit of why he falls down here. I mean, you're looking, this is the reigning MVP who had amazing offensive numbers in fantasy, in regular football, right? Really, we're putting him down here because we are a little scared of when will he play?
Yeah.
If he will play, but it's not enough. He's too good for us to just discard from our top 12.
Yeah, my feeling is, and I have no sources to back this up or anything, just judging what I've seen in the news and the situation, I'm still holding to the fact that I think he does play start of the season. I think they'll figure out a contract. I think this has mostly been about a contract situation. He feels like he, was disrespected with the Jordan Love thing, and he wants them to show him with. Well, he wants them to show him with their money that he's the quarterback.
It also came out that he turned down the contract that would have made him the highest paid NFL player for a year-to-year contract.
It was a 2-year contract.
So it would have extended to 5, but for those 5 years, he would have been the highest paid. So he might want Mahomes money.
Yeah, and
half the ownership stake.
I don't know. I will say I'm getting, if I was before at a 75% chance he plays, I'm maybe more down at 65 now. I still lean that he plays, but it's getting close.
Yeah, it's cutting it too close there, Rodgers. All right, we need to move on. I'm sorry. Russell Wilson comes in at number 8 here, and he just seems to be he's always safely right here in this 8 to 12 range.
He's usually higher, I feel like. I feel like this year people are down on him.
But this is an extremely safe floor. Could be value.
Yep.
But the problem is reports from camp kind of affect us here. We saw what they did when they let Russ cook. Mm-hmm. But then Pete Carroll didn't like that offense. He wants more running. And then when they had those little rumors of him actually going somewhere else and wanting a trade because they're not asking for his input. But even when he balls out there and they do run the ball more, he's a great quarterback. One of the best deep ball throwers in the NFL.
He was the hardest player for me to rank, I think, because his range of outcomes are so big. Because if he cooks even a little like he did in the beginning of last season, he's a top 5 quarterback that you need to draft early on. We have him ranked down here at 9, and the reason that is that way is because you just don't know what the game script's going to be. If the game script calls for Russ to cook, I think he will cook, and I think it's going to be difficult to pick those weeks. Just like a Tyler Lockett, he follows, it's his quarterback. You saw that it was just all over the place. You never knew when to play the guy. He'd have you 35-point week, and the next week come out with 1 catch for 7 yards, and you're like, what's going on in this offense? So that's why I think he's just going to be a difficult player to draft in fantasy. And the other thing is he comes with a name value to where you can't drop him. I had this one year with Russ, and I love Russell Wilson as a quarterback. If the Dolphins traded for him, goodbye Tua. I'd be all on board. I like Tua, but Russell Wilson is a fantastic quarterback. And when I drafted him one year, it just felt like I could never drop him no matter how bad it got because the name value was there. You know the potential. You know he can put up 45 points in a week for you, but it just seems sporadic enough to where you just can't. I don't like having him on my team for that reason.
Here's my hottest take. I just thought of it as we were talking here, so no research.
Oh, boy, just right off the...
But if he goes into the rankings, and you guys look it up, or his week-to-week rankings, ride him until the trade deadline.
Okay.
Because the whole play call, it's like when he gets closer to the playoffs, what are they doing? Playing defense and running the ball.
Yeah, turnovers was the reason they I think want to switch back to a more run-heavy
Defense
offense.
has started to understand Lockett and Metcalf, and those numbers started falling off. So if you want to get Wilson early, He'll get you to the playoffs, but he won't win you a championship. So you want to trade him at that November trade deadline and get yourself just a good quarterback hitting 20-something points and get some value to fill at other positions.
So he's going at the beginning of the 6th round right now. Do you think that's worth starting your season off with a Russell Wilson? That would put him at, here, let me just give you the actual position he's going at. So he's QB7.
Right.
Which I think you have him ranked, at 8?
I had him at 7. You had him at 8.
Yeah, so is that worth it to you to start off with Russell Wilson as the 7th quarterback off the board?
Yeah, because you know what? You have to get to the playoffs.
Yep.
If you need a strategy to switch up quarterbacks, then be that ruthless trader at trade deadline and do something that everybody's scratching their heads. Sell him while he's high, while he's hot, and you can get 7 good wins out of him early in the year.
Next guy we got on here is at number 10. We haven't been saying the numbers going along. I hope you guys can do math.
We're at number 9. That was 8 at Russell Wilson. We're at 9 with Justin Herbert.
Okay, maybe I can't do math well. Well, I'll let the main man coach here continue.
I know where you're getting because you got one number ranking here, but it's like off the number because of the title. So Justin Herbert at number 9. We're both the same, right here at 9.
Yep.
We were both surprised last year, and we think he'll just continue.
Yeah, I think it'll be. I mean, we're going to talk later about some sleepers, busts, and values. And spoiler alert, he's one of those for me. I don't think that he is going to, regress to a point where you can't start him in fantasy. I have a hard time seeing him taking a step up from what he did last year. Like, people's expectations may be, okay, he's in his 2nd year. Now he's vaulting into the top 5. I need to go get Justin Herbert. That's not how I feel.
All right. I think that's 9 is exactly where he needs to be. I am very surprised by what he did, and I just can't wait to see what he does in year 2. He does have a new coach.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that affects him. But talking about new scenery, Matthew Stafford, usually a steady late-round quarterback for us to all draft, coming in at number 10. And we like the offense that he's in. I mean, they did lose a running back a couple of days ago. Yeah,
we didn't talk much about that. We're not doing news in these segments because just a disclaimer, we're recording this here in late July.
July 23rd.
So if Rodgers is playing now, then that sounds stupid, everything we said about Rodgers. Or if he's retired, then that's going to suck. But yeah, for right now, we just had the Cam Akers news. He's, out for the season. I think I don't like to always say that an injury is going to help a player on that offense, but I think in the situation, I give a slight bump to Stafford now because I think Sean McVay is the type of coach that will adjust his offense to what is going to work. And I think with him now having Darrell Henderson instead of Cam Akers, he's going to need to pass the ball more.
I just imagine if they had Stafford instead of Goff at the Super Bowl, Rams would have had a Super Bowl title.
Maybe.
And Brady would only have 6.
Yeah, so with Stafford, he's somebody you can take late in the drafts. He's a bit of a wild card. We don't know what he'll look like in this offense. It's a brand new offense for him, but I just am going to trust Sean McVay to help him figure it out. He's been a great quarterback his whole career, and so if you waited on quarterbacks, he's somebody that I think that'll be sitting there you can take late.
Yeah, and another value we love here, Ryan Tannehill coming at 11.
My boy,
I was
left
slightly
us.
lower.
No,
you were slightly
left
higher.
Him.
Yeah, I mean
we left him in the dirt with all the offensive lines we gave him.
He blossomed once he left Miami. He has Julio Jones. Do you think that's going to uptick in his passing offense, or do you think they love the formula they have in Tennessee that we should see about the same? From him.
I don't see how you can't upgrade his passing.
Okay,
because Julio Jones, to me, still has it. I think it's coming. The end is coming. But for this year, I think he still has it. You've kind of heard me say that before. But with Tannehill getting Julio Jones, you can't just leave him where he was. Right. I mean, he's going from Corey Davis to Julio Jones. That's an improvement. I think there's
huge improvement.
There is opportunity. Although Julio Touchdown Jones doesn't seem to get the touchdowns, maybe the change of scenery will help him. And Tannehill can help him get those touchdowns. But I think, he's somebody going late that we'll talk about later as a value. So
yeah, and then at 12, and I say this is all on hope and hype. from the small sample we saw at the end of last year.
We're kind of low compared to everyone else, I'd say.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts. Let me get the name out of here. Jalen Hurts for Fly Eagles Fly. There's a lot of buzz coming from Philly because of his obvious ability to run, and they think the pass game they just blew up what they had last year. Brand new coach, brand new system, better receivers with Devonta Smith being drafted. Jalen Reagor should be healthy start of the year. This could be a brand new looking offense. Miles Sanders should be the only running back being used in Philly. What are your thoughts on Jalen Hurts?
So I have Jalen Hurts here strictly because he rushes. That is it. I do not think that if he did not have the rushing ability that he would be anywhere near my top 12. That's why I've put him right at the edge here. I do think there's the possibility that he is, able to do enough passing to get him in. And as we know in fantasy football, if you run the ball as a quarterback, it's a cheat code. You're going to get into that top 12 if you get over 1,000 rushing yards, which if he starts all year, yes, I'm saying that. If he starts all year, then he will definitely be there. And that's why I have him ranked here. But we'll kind of talk later about him, but I have my reservations on Jalen Hurts.
You think he gets over 500 rushing yards?
Yeah.
Easily, right?
Yes, easily.
Does he get close to the Lamar world of 1,000 yards rushing?
I don't think that far, but 800 is attainable for sure.
Yeah, and you might throw in there 5 rushing touchdowns in the season.
Yeah, and you got to remember we have 17 games now, so it's even more. It's even easier to get to those.
Get to those benchmarks there. All right, so those are our top 12 there. We start with Mahomes. We end with Jalen Hurts. Let's talk real quickly here while we still got guys listening. Sleeper, value, bust. I'll start it off here, and I'll go to back and forth with our picks here. Sleeper, Joe Burrow for me. He was ranked for us all the way down to number 19. But that offense has so much potential with all of his new targets. With his new target, all right, coming in, his old former college receiver. I think he could be a top 12 quarterback. But ranking-wise, I had to put him out of the top 12.
All right, and then my sleeper, now I give this a caveat that Taysom Hill needs to start for him to be my sleeper.
Yeah, I need that for my Scott Fishbowl pick as well. Thank you.
Yeah, so Taysom Hill, I think he wins the job, and if he does, we just talked about it with Jalen Hurts and that rushing ability. That's all it takes to get into the top 12. So I think he's a guy that you could pick up. Right now there's some ambiguity about if he's going to be the starter. If you wait on quarterback and you're one of the last guys to grab it, like we did in Scott Fishbowl, you can pick up a Taysom Hill, and he came out of the gates just rushing like crazy. So he'll be good for fantasy if he starts.
Right. All right. Value. I went Ryan Tannehill.
You stole Ryan Tannehill. I love this pick.
He's easily floating between 8 and even far down as 12 in bad rankings, in my opinion. But that value, obviously, that's what we're looking for with Julio Jones.
He's currently going as the 11th quarterback off the board. So,
but he's going to give me a consistent 20 points, I think.
Yep.
And then you're going to take the plus touchdown passes when they don't give it to Derrick Henry. But he's going to be a very good late-round quarterback.
Yeah, he's my go-to. Like you said, if you wait a little while, he's one that you can grab before like a Taysom Hill. If you want to just know you got a good position plug in there, that's Tannehill for me.
What is your value?
My value is Aaron Rodgers. Again, I'm going kind of with another caveat here. We're going to need him to play, but you can take advantage of that right now. If you're doing a draft and you think that he's going to play, taking an Aaron Rodgers where he's going right now in like the 7th round, that's only going to plummet the longer he waits to play. Obviously, he starts to play, that might change ADP, and he may not be that value anymore. But for right now, if you think Aaron Rodgers is going to play, he's got potential to be the number 1 fantasy quarterback. That's in the realm of possibility, and you can get him in the 6th or 7th round right now. So just think it's a great value.
Okay. And we'll go to bust pick, and this is where I teased earlier before the podcast. My bust.
We're picking on some rookies.
Is Jalen, second-year guys. Yeah, Jalen Hurts. And you're like, man, his rushing, Chris, he's going to be top 10 value. My bust comes in the second half of the fantasy season.
Okay.
Teams adjust to a simple offensive passing game because he has to prove it to us that he can be a regular drop back quarterback.
Yep.
Right? I think all you get is rushing value from him, but it'll be much tougher because then they'll just load the box because they know exactly the simplicity of the passing game for a Lamar Jackson's passing game still trying to evolve. we might start seeing that same evolution for Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, and then might make some people angry here. I know there's a lot of people like him coming into year 2 here, but Justin Herbert, for me, I'm a little scared. It's not, I'm not saying he's a bust as in he won't be a startable top 12 quarterback. I have him ranked at 9. Like, I think you can draft him and use him as your quarterback. The problem is he's going in the 6th round right now as QB 6. That, to me, is where you will get that bust potential, to where you think you're getting somebody who has the potential to go into the top 5 of overall quarterbacks throughout the year, and I don't see that happening this year. He lost Hunter Henry. Yes, the offensive line improved, but we saw later in the year he relied less on that rushing, and that's really what was boosting him into such fantasy value. I've got pulled up here what is, from week 12 on, he's quarterback 14, quarterback 30, quarterback 17. He had a quarterback 6. And then he had quarterback 19. And then in week 17, when nobody was playing, he had a quarterback 3. But you see twice there in the last 5 to 6 weeks, he was a top 10 quarterback. So I think there's potential for that to happen, and I'm not willing to pull the trigger that early in my draft on Justin Herbert.
Those are major bust alert on guys in the top 12. So that's our quarterback ranking. Kind of like, I'm still in awe how much he hates Justin Herbert here, but it is the Miami effect because they drafted the wrong quarterback.
It may be a little bit of that.
But let us know what you guys think. If you disagree, agree with us. We love getting some feedback from you guys. But as we sign off here, listen to the outro so you guys can hear where you guys could follow us on social media and get some more advice from us when the season starts.
All right, that's it, guys.
All right, deuces.
Thanks for listening to the Coach and Commish podcast. Don't forget to check us out on Twitter and Instagram at Coach and Commish. And join our Facebook group called Fantasy Football Advice with the Coach and Commish for direct access to weekly waiver wire and start sit advice.